Oh, what's up, everybody? Once again, it's Brand Man Shine on the Saturday morning, recording straight from the phone. And as always, this video is brought to you by BrandmanNetwork.com because I signed myself. Now, I got some really important thoughts on certain deals, like publishing deals, right? And who you should go with, who you should not go with. Just the perspective that a lot of artists should have. Even some stuff on record deals. But really, I'll get into that. But first, I want to say this. I did a video on TikTok like yesterday that I dropped. Well, actually, it's part 2 of the TikTok series, which was Corey's video on how to upload your music to Spotify. I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but got an email from DistroKid yesterday, Philip from DistroKid, saying that DistroKid now allows you to seamlessly put your music on TikTok, which is dope. It's extremely useful. So if you're using DistroKid, now you know. If you're not using DistroKid, maybe you can just use the video that Corey dropped, part 2 of how to get famous on TikTok, that series. And of course, you could also just get DistroKid. The link is in the description below if you want to use our little discount that we got through Brandman Network. Now, moving on past that, record deals. Specifically, fake record deals. Let's start here. Because I have a lot of artists that get scammed out of that. Well, I don't have a lot of artists, but I have a lot of artists that might reach out to me because they get scammed from things like that. I even remember in Brandman Network, an artist got an email from one of those little scams, right? And he dropped it in the little chat area. And I was like, nah, bro, this one isn't sounding right. One of the other dudes in Brandman Network has an uncle who's like a lawyer. Checked through that, and it was like, nah, bro, this is trash. Scam. Which is what I thought as well. So let's go with a few telltale signs that the junk is fake. Before we get into publishing deals and who you should go with, some of these companies that I see a lot of artists doing something wrong with. One, if they're like, we reach out to a lot of artists, there's a lot of artists waiting in line, so you got 24 hours, 48 hours before the opportunity is passed up. Nah, bro, don't do it, because they're just trying to activate that FOMO in you, right? That scarcity, and get you to act in this short period of window. And once you do that, obviously they got your money, run off on the plug. So keep that in mind. Anything like that, they're like, you need to act fast. Nah, that's not it. That's not it. What's another thing? Another thing is when so they'll get really good at this sometimes. Right? They'll say, oh yeah, we'll pay for this and this. This stuff costs all this money, but we're gonna cover these things, and your salary is gonna end up being these things. So then they leave a small amount, $100, $200, bro. Now, of course, it makes it seem more attractive. Like, I'm only paying this much, and it should be this much money. But them saying what your salary is, what your bonus would be, and all these types of things in the email. No, people have to negotiate those things. No one's gonna just come to you, right? Throw the value and all that stuff first, especially in an email when they haven't talked with you, seen you, like no lawyer discussion, like that. That's just not how it's gonna work. You're not gonna get a cold email with a full contract, essentially, like all that structure there. So that's an L. A lot of times, of course, they use big people's names, but check the email. Is it coming from that company's email? I'm the vice president, or I'm the A&R at such and such label, but I'm not using that label's email, that website's email. That's another thing. And then, of course, a lot of times there's like just grammar stuff that you'll see, or some stuff that's literally not true. Oh man, what was one that I saw that was just wrong? Oh, but it's also this. They'll oftentimes use distribution or record label. Those two things. We'll offer you a distribution deal, or we'll offer you a record deal. Nah. That's a telltale sign. But let me tell you this about distribution deals in general. How I feel, because there's a lot of companies and fledgling companies that some of these companies aren't even scams as far as the distribution deal. The record label deal, that's a whole nother conversation. But a lot of artists I've talked to have been considering certain random companies for distribution. And my question is why, right? Distribution is a very basic service. Now, if you're not going with an empire or through some record label that has true connections to leverage, then why don't you just use the basic CD Baby, DistroKid, TuneCore? Because it's a simple service, it's trustworthy. Why give that resource to some company that's going to lock you now in a deeper contract. They have less ability to understand how to upload and re-upload and deal with all the nuances of an artist. Why do that? I'm not saying that there aren't some solid companies out there to do it for. If you have a deeper relationship, it might make sense. But generally speaking, especially if it's a company you haven't heard of, or it was a cold email they sent you, or you just randomly came across them, but they have no set like connections, no set credibility that you really know of, it doesn't mean that they're a scam, because it is a basic service that I could get my own distribution service, I don't know, and probably by the end of the year, honestly, if I wanted to. But what's the point of going with people like that? Right? Like it's just not a point, which also leads me into some of these admin and publishing deals as well. Admin deals are basic, right? It's a very basic service. I would prefer going with one of those bigger, credible companies like some of the Song Trusts or things like that. I think Song Trust does that, or maybe they're just royalties. I gotta double check on that. But some of these deals, some of these companies are just those regular official corporate brands, and all they do is this, right? So I'm actually thinking about royalties when I said that right there. But going with companies like that versus going with a random new person. Why? Because this is all this company does. And they're very cheap. They're very cheap, most of these companies. It's no point of going with a new random person that's just starting out in this field. Not for that, right? It's simple. If you look at Song Trust, though, while I'm thinking about them, if y'all aren't familiar, BMI, ASCAP, all that stuff, that's local US, like all your royalties and all that stuff, right? If we're in 2019 right now, you know what I mean? Gonna be into 2020 soon. Your music is getting listened to around the world on Spotify, Apple, and all these platforms. Each city, right? Country has their own BMI ASCAP. So if you just have BMI ASCAP, you are not getting all your money. And that's the benefit of a platform like that, right? Because these other companies aren't going to connect. Like if it's just a random new person that is just say, yo, let me try this. Most likely they aren't going to be able to get you and tap you into these other companies. So, and why would you not just go with BMI ASCAP if you're just going to do inside your country? Well, the US, whatever it is in the other country that you're in, whoever's watching this video, right? But then if you want to go up a level, you can do Song Trust, and all this stuff it's too cheap to go with something less reliable, right? To go with something that's risky. It doesn't even mean that it's a scam, but it's when just doing the low risk thing is cheap and super low risk, incredible and reliable, all that stuff. Why go with something new and risky? I don't get it. There's no point. And I see a lot of artists doing that stuff and considering that stuff. And doing the same thing with PR agencies and things like that too. And most of these PR agencies aren't going to focus on you. They're asking for a little bit of money. And if they ask you for a little bit of money, that means you probably aren't going to be their main client, even if let's say they're credible. A lot of these people, especially if they're reaching out to you, like a lot of these people, it just seems, right? They'll put you on the back burner, not give you a full service, and they're waiting to put most of their energy on the clients that do give them a bigger return, which makes sense, but it doesn't make sense for you to work with them, right? Especially when you don't have enough stuff to actually get a buzz. So in the same way, it doesn't make sense to work with certain record labels before you get a certain level of PR. Before you get a certain level of like fan base, it's the same with PR, because if you aren't going to be able to be a client that makes sense for them, where they believe, oh, this client is going to be a good look for me to say I work with them. This client is already moving fan base wise, and all this stuff is and this client is paying me a certain amount of money, they're probably not going to treat you like you should be treated. Like all these things, it sounds common sense and logical, but I think in some of these situations, when dealing with these companies, just in one-off situations, it's hard to kind of keep all that in mind. So I just want to make sure I touch on these things and let y'all keep that stuff in mind. And admin deals, right? Back to the publishing. Admin deals versus the true publishing deals. This is what I wanted to say. Like when we're talking about that for real publishing deal, the power is their ability to pitch it to people, right? Their ability to get sync deals, their ability to get it in, like, I don't know, playing on an elevator, all these random situations. If this is a small company that doesn't really have a strong track record, they probably don't have the connections to truly do all that stuff for you. So why do it? And if they don't, even if it's a company that's like a little record label, but they don't have a full system that's dedicated to pitching, because they're just a small record label and they're cool, they're growing their artists, but they don't have a department dedicated to pitching, right? Then they might have a hard time getting your stuff placed. So you're better off sticking with admin deals, super basic, and not giving somebody the rights to get that cut of your money, right, with your publishing, just because they say they're going to pitch it to these people. Because you have to think about the fact that that's a job in and of itself, and that's not the same as managing an artist. That's not the same as marketing an artist, right? That's not the same as doing artist PR. All these things are literally different specialties, and before you do these types of agreements with people, make sure you understand and get a full questioning and insight on what they have in place to actually be able to execute what the value of a publishing deal is supposed to be, or getting PR is supposed to be. These things can be confusing sometimes. I understand. We try to put out as much information in regards to that as possible, and literally dealing with a few investor situations inside Brandman Network and a few other types of situations and negotiations inside Brandman Network as I speak, right? Because artists are in different spots and there are nuances to each contract. And no, they said that, nah, bro, we gotta, nah. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that, but understand there's some umbrella thoughts that you can use to approach that, and that's kind of what I'm trying to cover in this video. Hope that's clear. Would love to know any of you guys' feedback. If y'all have any bad experience or a good experience, or y'all know of some bad or good experience, and give that warning out in the comments below. Would love to see it. Would love to hear it. Appreciate y'all as always. It's Brandman Network. Well, it's Brandman Shine. BrandmanNetwork.com is, that's where we at, because I signed myself, and it's a weekend. It's a Saturday. Y'all have a good one. It's sunny outside. Go have some fun. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you like it, you might as well share it. And if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button.